Alright. And looks like we're live. Awesome. Hey everybody. While we're getting started, I'm gonna test this real quick again. See if this actually works this time. Nope. Nope. Oop. Oop. There we go. Oh well. I will have to figure out what is wrong with that. So, wait for everyone to kind of hop in a little bit, but I actually got a lot done over the weekend, although it doesn't necessarily look like I did as much as I did. So the terrain here has been redone and cleaned up using the previous terrain that Sean did as a template, essentially. So I projected down onto it, but the projection did not work 100% in some of the dunes, so I had to go in and snap those by hand. So kind of re-cleaned all that up, and now the reason behind that is I now have the ability to in-engine make edits, and I could have on the previous one done up and down edits, but now I can move stuff sideways and delete stuff, punch holes in the ground like I did over here with these new pyramids. These are just temporary. These aren't necessarily designed. Nick had requested some updates to them, so I just kind of really quickly threw these together. We may end up replacing these at some point once Godwin starts concepting out this civilization, which I will not mention lore stuff now that we're starting to get a better picture of what some of this stuff is. But yeah, we replaced all of that type of stuff. I redid these cliffs, so now they actually are modeled to this texture, so some of the darker areas are going to be more like recesses and stuff like that. So that's been all cleaned up. I need to redo the dragon head, and then this will eventually need to be replaced as well. But it now, not that you can see, but as you're walking around out here or back here, you can kind of see how there's kind of a back wall and there's nothing in the middle. So it's a better reflection of Fallen Pass because there's technically a zone all in here. So it just kind of shaped that a little bit better. But got all of that done. And then I also did a brief update to Deep Dunes last night. And I'll show that in a bit when there's some more people viewing, and as more people kind of click into the stream. But tonight, what I'm going to be doing is I might end up deleting or moving this building for now. Or maybe I'll do it over here. I do have a large space. I'll just build it right here. But Ali requested a inn that is with specific function in mind. So when I was building this one over here, this was completely just me freestyling. I didn't have any design or game mechanics or gameplay elements kind of in mind when I was doing this. And the idea is that 50 people can hang out in this, or hang out in the inn, and they definitely can't. This is a very tight, tiny little inn and tavern, so I'm gonna be working on that today. And actually, let me move this wall. Where is... Oh boy, that's way out there. Is this tied to anything else? And I can't delete that. Nope. I have to go in and modify the FBX, but I'm not going to do that right now. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. Move it there for now. And I'll just remember to remove that afterwards. But I'm going to kind of play with this in over here. Now, I've been gathering a little bit of kind of reference to Middle Eastern, well, actually, I guess it's kind of not necessarily just Middle Eastern, but some caravan Sarai, I believe is how it's pronounced. But kind of gathering some images of them, and I like some things about some of these. Kind of like the entrance here. I kind of like this open kind of communal area, which I think I have another picture of somewhere, or I thought I did. Didn't I? Oh, apparently I did not grab that one. I thought I did. But kind of like that. I like the kind of 2 levels of this. Of these ones. And, you know, this one as well. I don't think these are the same ones. I think they're both in... Or one of these, I believe, is in... Yeah, this one's in Iran, and I think this one might be Iran or Turkey. I can't remember. I probably should have put notes, but I was in a hurry. But I kind of like this courtyard as well. So we want it to be a little bit larger. Probably not quite this large, but basically an area where players can gather to hang out while they're LFG, and then I believe cooking and the innkeeper and cooking was also another thing that I needed to think about. So I just grabbed a bunch of reference here to some older ovens and stoves from like Pompeii and Egypt and Persia, and I think there's someone here from Mesopotamia, but kind of just throughout the Middle Eastern areas, some of the older civilizations and kind of how things were laid out. So just some references. So I'm going to be playing around with that today. I probably will not be getting to modeling the stove. I'll probably get a decent way into excuse me, into roughing out the basic portions, and hopefully get a decent amount into that, but we'll see. So the first thing I'm going to start with is kind of like a front entrance. I'm going to try, because a lot of the stuff that we've been doing so far has not been arch reliant. You know, there's a little bit of archways here, and obviously, you know, these walls are going to be replaced, but there's some arching here. So I'm going to try to avoid using a ton of arches. A lot of these do have arches. So I'm going to try to keep it, you know, fairly square. And then there are some places I will be making arches, but I'm going to try to limit it. And my reference will be off screen, so you guys unfortunately won't be able to see it, but actually I wonder, can I? Add an element here? Oh, maybe I'll set that up later, where I can add an element so you actually, no, let's do it right here before everyone hops in. Maybe under game capture. Oh, and I'm over. I'm putting that straight on top of everything right now. Let's see. Oh, nope, that's not gonna work. is not technically a game. I guess I was thinking it was more apps. Window capture. And I'm capturing myself. Or not myself, my your ref. Is that showing up for you guys? Nope. Okay. I tried. I was gonna have it up there so you guys could see it while I was modeling, but that is not gonna work. Alright. I tried. Alright, so let's actually get to some modeling. Let's start with a new cube. Oops, and I have some of this stuff shut off from what I was doing previously. And let's make this 5, 5. We'll start it off at 10 and see how that feels. So it should be more towards the middle. I'm gonna use this. I'm not gonna use this whole space, I don't think, but I do want to give myself a bunch of room when I'm doing this, because this is gonna be a fairly decent sized structure. Okay. So I have that at 5 meters. Why has my snapping been funky the last couple days? Because that is definitely not snapping how I want it to. Oops. Okay, so let's give ourselves oops. There we go. Let's make it quarter meter snapping. Okay. So we got that. And move this. There's a pinch higher. And we will give ourselves some is. And I feel like I want this to be fairly wide. Let's see, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Optically, this side looked larger to me. Sometimes perspective can be weird. And play tricks with your head, or not your head, but your eyes. I want this to be wider of a entrance. So the question is, how wide? I haven't really played around with larger entrance ways. This one actually feels good. Let's measure this. Maybe not quite as large, but okay. So I'm about kind of where I want to be. But we'll take a look and see how that is. I'm going to make this taller. How tall is this? Yeah, I'm going to give it another probably 3 meters. That's a full 3. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll try that. Okay, so we have that, and we will. I don't want to make it as high, but we'll try that to start. And I'm gonna need to delete. Oops, where is it? Delete face. And my edges aren't. Nope, helps if I'm actually on edge select. Like, why are the edges not selecting? Helps if you are in the right mode. Okay. So that's decent. I'm going to really quickly come in and test this because I don't want to start building out this entire place if this is too small. I'm going to probably keep it maybe on the slightly smaller side. There has been a lot of... Oops, why isn't that saving? The hit save as. We've actually done a lot of updates that I don't know how many have been seen. Actually, I need to probably mute my sound too because I don't want to be like, okay, it's already muted. I don't want to be giving spoilers from other people's streams and stuff. Go to Shaman. Although I don't remember where I am. Oh, I wasn't muted. And I've got GM speed, so this won't take too long to get to. Actually, I have double GM speed on right now. So anyone who's not familiar with the game, we're creating a MMO that is very inspired by the first generation MMOs like EverQuest. Okay, that might actually be bigger than I want. Some of the tests we've been doing, we've been noticing how much larger the capsules are. The caps is probably going to be cut down very shortly. So this is already feeling kind of big. And the question is, do I want it to be there or there? Actually, I think I'm going to do the 2 meters down. The top of it actually doesn't feel too bad right now. But take a quick edit to that. Like that, and I'm going to move these down just in case I need to do an extrusion. I don't want the edges going at weird angles, so keep it nice and clean. Okay, so we've got that, and then what I'm thinking is, you know, this main walkway, so kind of like these, they appear to have kind of like a little room right off the front, so I think I'm going to do the same thing. Maybe not, you know, quite either of these shapes, but I'll have that as kind of like the innkeeper area, is what I'm thinking. And then maybe the opposite side is going to be like the kitchen area. This one has this kind of outdoor communal area where you can barely tell. Like I said, I thought I had another picture that I grabbed, but there's like little seating areas. I'm thinking about maybe doing something similar, maybe not all the way down. That's kind of like, you know, like a dining area, tavern-ish area. So kind of something like, you know, like right there. So we'll do kitchen area. Another thing Ali asked for is a cellar. So I'm going to have a doorway, I think, over around here somewhere It's going to be a cellar that'll go underneath, and I'm kind of actually wanting to play around with this kind of look, where maybe there's going to be like grates or something like that somewhere in the courtyard that you can kind of see down into here. So that's something that I'll kind of play around with. As I get to that point, I'm going to have to obviously break up what I have here as a terrain. But again, now that I can actually like select and delete stuff, it's going to be pretty easy to do. BDC Retro is the intention of buildings in Night Harbor to be for all races or just humans? So there's probably going to be a mix once we have everything kind of designed, but it's more of a human city, so most of it will be human scaled. There might be things, you know, in the sprawl, you know, where maybe a gnome kind of purchased a house and built something up similar to these. Maybe, you know, there's a human scale residence that a gnome has kind of, you know, made smaller rooms inside of and kind of, you know, gnomized it, I guess, for lack of a better word. But and kind of just made it their own. So I might play around with stuff like that. And then there might be some ogre-ish, but I think I'm going to lean more towards human and maybe some smaller, like gnomish type stuff with a couple ogre type things. There will be larger structures like guild halls and stuff. That was another conversation I had with Elite today. I was kind of talking about what we wanted to do with things like that. And this is off-center. Hold on, let me fix this. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. Make it 4.5 on that side and 4.5 on this side. But so there will be larger spaces, and again, I think I've mentioned it before. You know, I'll definitely be playing with scale a decent amount. Especially as we get to other areas as well. But some spots, you know, ogres will be able to get there. They just may end up needing, you know, a shrink or something like that. And there is the potential that it may reverse depending on how we set up the character controllers for each individual race. So, for instance, if a gnome can't climb up onto something, but an ogre can, that, you know, once we get into the larger scale areas, gnomes might need to find grows or something along those lines. So I'm definitely kind of open to playing it both ways, but we'll see. So let's actually get some more models in here. I'm going to keep the walls fairly thick on this. Or the outside walls, anyways. The interior walls, maybe not so much. And I needed to move my camera better. It's maybe a little thicker than I want it to be. Actually, no, that might not be too bad. Actually, I take that back. Let's... do this. So, there's more people kind of joining the stream, it looks like. So I'm going to, real quickly, I know I kind of already did it at the beginning if you're watching the VOD. But since there's more people showing up, I'm going to kind of show some of the newer stuff that I did over the weekend. So the entire terrain has been redone. I chopped off this part, and I'm going to make that a secondary terrain at some point. But I took Sean's initial terrain and cleaned it up by kind of projecting a large plane down onto it, and then the projection, the vertices weren't aligned perfectly, so like it messed up the tops of all the dunes. They were very flat, and there were a couple of other points that the just some of the slopes and stuff just weren't as sharp and nice as they were before. So I went in and kind of hand snapped all the vertices back to the original stuff. So that is all cleaned up. I tried a couple other ways of cleaning it up, but there was some extra vertices overlapping somewhere, and I could not find them. So it was not allowing me to do Pro Builder, which allows me to, again, as we're building stuff, and we've been talking a lot behind the scenes about, you know, the other civilizations and stuff that are around here, and Goblin's been concepting stuff for, you know, what these ruins and stuff that these are built on. So there's going to be a lot of terrain that's going to get kind of deleted or cut out and moved around, so it's just a lot easier for me to do that all in engine. And I could move stuff up and down pretty easily before, but now I can move stuff side to side. I can delete stuff if I want to, so it just makes my life a lot easier to do that in here. Nick had wanted a kind of a quick touch up on the pyramids over here, because we kept getting, and we've seen this on a couple of the streams, we kept getting like beetles and stuff trapped under these. So cleaned these up so that, one, we can walk up them, they're not as steep, and then I gave them little stairs. So these aren't necessarily final designs, they're just kind of a quick cleanup. And then over here I kind of redid the front of this with Pro Builder, because it was actually part of the terrain mesh before, so as I deleted the old terrain, it went away. So I just kind of cleaned that up. And then the cliffs here, this one and this one, have been redone, and they're more tied to this texture. So, you know, kind of shadowy areas are more kind of cracks and crevices and stuff like that. We still need to, figure out exactly what we want this dragon head to look like. Figure that out, and then the same thing with Fallen Watch up here, the kind of facade of it. So that will eventually be replaced, and I'll probably redo this whole mountain that it's on at that same time. But now, not that Fallen Watch is actually here, but if you're far away, it kind of gives you the sense that there's a valley there as you move around. Granted, I'm way up higher than players are going to be, but you know, as you're running around it, you can see mountains sliding around. So I did that. Let me save this real quick. Another thing I did, which you can kind of see right here, is played around real quickly with some mushrooms in Deep Dunes last night. So Deep Dunes now has some glowy mushrooms to kind of go along with the blue lighting that was in there. And then there's a light tied into here. I may have to clean up some of the lighting. Oh yeah, that wasn't happening last night. But there is, you can see this little jagged stuff. It's just because there's so many of these blue lights in here that are overlapping. So I'm gonna have to come through and do a pass where I'm cleaning up the number of just kind of blue ambient lights that are in here now that there's the mushrooms. And there's a couple spots also, now that I'm thinking about it, that probably, stop clicking on stuff, that I did like multiple mushrooms. Where am I? I think down here. So there's like 2 mushrooms here and 3 mushrooms here. I'm probably, now that I'm really thinking about it, because we are getting that little like pixelation lighting going on, I'm probably going to make some, well, I want to make more variations. This was a really kind of quick one that I just kind of bent. So I'm going to clean it up. You know, they're very, very flat here. I like that, but I also kind of want to try a version where it's a little bit more organic in terms of, not necessarily modeled more, just kind of broken up. But the chunky kind of look there, I think Sean's probably going to like this one more. So we'll probably keep the chunky look. Maybe have a couple of them. But I also want to do some like the oyster ones that kind of look like, almost like, kind of like a trump, like the horn of a trumpet, that grow off the side. I kind of want to make some of those kind of growing off the walls. Maybe, you know, maybe have those. They could be the blue, or I could pitch it into like maybe kind of a purple tone of some kind. And then I want to do some like just smaller, like rounded ones So probably play around with a couple different shapes, maybe get some better bending and stuff in these. There's a couple spots where I kind of wish I had more bending. And then there's like this green area over here. I'm not sure if Nick or Sean had any particular plans for why it was green, but I might make some green mushrooms that are hanging around. So definitely have to do some cleanup now that I was like half asleep last night when I was putting this together. I don't know if that was happening or I'm just catching it now or if something changed, but definitely, where did they go? Just saw it. Weird. But there's definitely a couple areas where there's just too many real-time lights hitting one spot. We've had that a couple times, so it's just going to have to go in there and take out some of these blue lights, because there's blue lights everywhere, but it was back when there wasn't other light sources, so it was really hard to kind of see where you were going. Redigar, hey, how's it going? Holy, this looks amazing. Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm liking how this this test kind of came together. So I kind of did that last night. There's some issues with the texture that I want to clean up. You know, it's a little kind of jagged over here. I kind of want to smooth that out a little bit and play around with that. But I like how it's coming together. Mandalorian, I'm really digging the vertical aspect you guys are taking to the zones. It's one of the things I've been looking forward to in EQ Next, or I had been looking forward to in EQ Next, and something I didn't think enough MMOs do. So much potential. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential to continue kind of going down deeper and deeper, and there's definitely some plans for things in the future. You know, content down the road. I really like the way the lighting is working in this zone. Yeah, I think it's working pretty well. And I did not like color select or like check the hex code or anything like that. So it's a different blue, but I kind of like that. I like this almost more of a sky blue highlight, and then you've got this kind of cooler temperature blue. It's kind of like a fill light. So again, you know, I just got to play with them because you can see how giant of a range these have, to kind of get some of those weird artifacting spots to go away, which are now that I'm talking. Oh, there was one right there a second ago. Oh. Now that I'm talking about it, I won't be able to see it. Oh. Right there, it's kind of doing it a little bit. You can kind of see how it's getting pixelated. How will the deep beetles with lights affect how you do the mushroom lighting? So another thing I'm thinking about doing with the mushroom lighting, like I was mentioning, is like I have these ones that they're just individuals and they both have lights. So I might just, well, actually, I guess I could just come in here and now that I'm thinking about this, oh, come on. I can just turn off that second light. So I can probably do that over here too. And I was thinking about putting these into individual like clusters, but actually this is probably the smarter way to do it. If I can select that other mushroom. There we go. So yeah, I'll have to go through this and clean this up a bit in terms of lighting, but that'll also, you know, one light. And you can see the radius on this is much smaller. I didn't want this to cast, you know, the blue light, this blue light everywhere. I kind of like, again, I like the playing of the temperature. So this is, you know, they're both very cool colors, but this is a kind of brighter, warmer, in quotations, blue. and then this is a much cooler blue, so I like that. I was also mentioning, after I was kind of thinking about this earlier, I don't know if we'll do it, but there's a bioluminescent water that I think is in Australia. Like a red tide comes in, and the algae in it has a defense mechanism that it, as you move it around, it glows to kind of like shock its shock isn't shock and awe, like scare off its whatchamacallits, its predators. Actually, let me see. Let me grab this. So let me turn off the music on it. But I thought something like this would be kind of cool. Like when the players are walking around down here. Instead of just normal ripples and stuff like that, it does the ripples, but it does it through the emissive channel. So that might be something we might play with, but we'll see. I really like the way the lighting. Yeah, I think I already did that one. How would the that's it. The Beatles. Sorry, I got sidetracked in my head there. The Beatles. We'll have to see once we get in there. I think there's been some issues with the nav mesh, getting the Beatles in. So we have to figure out what's going on with the nav mesh here. But that could also cause other issues. We may, depending on how many Beatles we have going around here, we may end up just having to do these as baked lights as opposed to real time, because right now it's all real time, which is why we're getting that jagged pixel shadow thing. Just too many currently in the scene. Where are all the deep badgers? But yeah, so not bad for, I think this took me 3 hours to model model UV texture, bring in here, build the lighting for, and then I built the shader as well. So the shader's got a little bit of a Fresnel on it, so you can see the edges kind of give a nice little highlight. So it just kind of gives a nice little like otherworldly look. Like the front is always going to be a little bit, and I can control how much, but I think this works pretty well. So the front will always be more of the direct lighting, and then the edges kind of just get this nice little highlight no matter what angle you're looking at. So let me hop back over to Shaded Dunes, and we'll... Did I... Oh yeah, I like, what did I do? But I turned off those lights, so I'll keep those off. But yeah, so got a decent amount done over the weekend, which is awesome. The thing that probably took the most time is the thing that if I hadn't told you guys, you probably wouldn't have noticed, but the terrain definitely took the longest amount of time to snap all the dune vertices back to the original spots. So let's play around. I'm gonna rough in kind of the, again, just the generic shape of it first, because I don't want to start building out the entirety of this place and then feel like, oh no, it's way too small or way too large. So move that. But how's everybody else doing? How was your guys' weekend? Yeah, okay. So let's stick with the 3. This is probably actually going to end up getting extended. And like I said, this area is probably going to be like the innkeeper's spot. And then over here is going to be like the kitchen and the entrance to the cellar. I don't know quite how far I want this to go back. And again, keep in mind that this whole layout is going to be changing. So right now it's just kind of plopped here, but I know Ali's been doing his kind of early game experience tweaking over here. And this is, I think, part of the reason we wanted this. And again, I'm just kind of doing a rough in. The whole style and stuff could easily end up changing to fit more with what Goblin's concepts do, but I'm just kind of giving a generic rough in right now. Mandalorian weekend was good, but short. It always is. My weekend was actually somewhat long, because what? I ended up having 2 snow days essentially. Although one of them was not a complete snow day. I thought it was initially, which made me sad. But we ended up just doing like online learning. But there was some fairly gnarly snowstorms that came rolling through here. So let me move this up. Definitely seen worse, but I also really don't enjoy driving in snow, so I was still happy. Alright, let's take a look scale-wise. Oh, we got it to about 2 feet. I worked from home Thursday afternoon and all day Friday. Nice. Yeah, we probably, there's at least 1.5 feet. There might be 2 in some areas. This morning, I need to not have those in. This morning, I tried to walk my son to the bus like I do every morning, and the spot next to us was not shoveled or plowed or anything, and I tried to step on it. He was able to walk across it fine. I took it 1 step in and ended up getting nice freezing cold wet pants and shoes. This is maybe a little small for this, but I think I'm gonna play with it this way, because again, we're noticing the world is larger even when I scale it down. Oh. Nav mesh hasn't been updated, and the go-to is just going to go right through this, so expect to see that several times throughout this. I'm not going to change the guard's pathing right now. But that totally just derailed my brain. But yeah, the scale is probably a little large on this, so I'm going to keep it this, and I'll make adjustments as needed, but it's probably closer to what I want. So this feels fairly good. I'm going to extend this another meter or 2. How many meters is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, let's do 12. Probably should not have logged that character out right there, because if I move a wall there, I'm going to end up being inside it, but I don't have any plans of moving a wall there. Famous last words, though. I say that now, and then I'm going to move it, and I'm going to log in, and I'm going to be trapped inside the geometry. And you guys are all going to laugh. I already see that happening. Hey, Lord Sacrum. So Ali had made a request to do a inn that I think he is planning on using for part of what he's been kind of doing behind the scenes, with some like kind of entry level player experience type stuff along with crafting. So I am working on an inn, and specifically with some gameplay mechanics and needs in mind. In an earlier stream, I did make this kind of inn over here and tavern, but it you know, I was completely freestyling. There was no mechanics or needs kind of in there. I was just kind of playing with structure. So this is not going to support what we needed to do, which is be able to hold like about 50 players in it and stuff like that. So the idea is that it's going to be kind of an LFG like hangout space, and it needs to have a spot for like baking, so like a kitchen, and then an innkeeper area. So what I'm thinking is, you know, we'll walk in, and I'm using, oops, if I grab the right one, I'm using some of this image research I did over lunch, but I'm kind of leaning into the caravan Sarai, which I believe is how you pronounce that, from like the Silk Road. So, you know, they're kind of more there's more functionality to these than we're necessarily doing. So there's like a, you know, potentially like marketplace and stuff like that, which, I mean, maybe players end up setting up markets, but I'm not necessarily, like, we've already got several market ideas for Night Harbor, so I'm not going to like make everything a marketplace intentionally anyways. So, you know, kind of like usually like a one entrance thing, you know, large enough for, you know, camels and pack animals and stuff to come in. So kind of looking at that, I kind of like this, you know, archway. I'm going to try to not use as many arches as you see in these, just because so far our architecture and our shape language has been very square. And even the stuff that Goblin's been kind of concepting for the most part has been fairly blocky. So I'm not going to rely heavily on arches just to kind of keep the shape language consistent. But I like the kind of two-tiered look, which may end up having arches to get the two tiers. I kind of like this courtyard. Obviously, it's a little bit larger. I like having the little fountains in the middle. So I'm looking at some of this kind of stuff to throw it together. The rooms right now are not necessarily, you know, very much kind of like these. There's no necessarily functionality behind them currently. So it's very much just going to be, you know, decorative facade type stuff for now. We may end up, you know, coming up with some sort of mechanic that, you know, you can rent out a room for storage or whatever. But that is what I'm working on today. And I was kind of showing off earlier some of the new stuff that I did. And you missed it. I'll probably show it again towards the end if you anybody else did missed it too. But I did a pass on the deep dunes where there's some glowy mushrooms down there now. It's looking pretty cool. It needs some more work, but it's definitely going in the right direction. I'm actually pretty pleased how well that came out for how quickly it came together. So now I'm gonna make doorways into this. Let me make these a little bit wider doors. Keep them the same height though. Technically that's slightly taller. I don't like that shape. Okay. How I want to do this. Alright, so I'm going to work on the innkeeper spot first. So I will cut into these walls for windows and maybe some... I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. But it'll be, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of freestyling, and I've got some ideas of things I want, but not a 100% plan. So today's just really going to be roughing this in and playing around with it. So this is going to be kind of like the innkeeper spot when you walk in. You know what? I really don't like these doorways being this large. Let's bring this back. I want to find that middle spot again. There we go. So I'm just gonna keep with the human scale doors, which are... Oh my god, why am I blanking? It's... 1.5 meters. So there we go. And then... there we go. So, I need to do that over here. And then, actually, you know what? Maybe I don't want to have the kitchen entrance directly across. Maybe I do want it... So I might not even play around with that side right now. And then I'm thinking about doing similar to how I have... What direction am I? There we go. I'm thinking of having a similar thing where there's like a innkeeper's room and then like a little counter. So I might actually just copy this counter. I did duplicate that, right? Okay. Sometimes I think I duplicate stuff, move it, and I go back later. I'm like, oh, that's missing, because I totally did not do what I thought I did. So I'm just going to kind of leave this floating over here for now. But thinking a little area like that. Let's, for now, remove... I am roughing this in, but I'm also thinking about how the walls are going to function so I don't have to rebuild them later. Done with the sewers. The sewers that I was playing around with, they're kind of in a finished. Oh, I didn't flatten those. I had to refix the sides of them, but it's still kind of in the rough state. Partly because some of the stuff we've been talking about behind the scenes with the civilization and how we want to build the city. There's going to be a lot of changes, so I'm not too worried right now about that. And then this whole thing will probably be touched up at some point, but this is more of a gameplay proofing out testing thing, so that's why I am switched gears a bit to work on this for Elite. I did do a bunch of other stuff over the weekend that I already showed off, but I'll show it off again towards the end of the stream. But I was actually fairly productive over the last couple days. So, ooh. Apparently I grabbed that entire edge. Did not want to do that. That's better. Looks like quite a nice PvP area. It's eventually going to be an inn. So, been looking at what Caravanserai. So, kind of looking off some of these ideas. Probably going to play with less arches if I can, and try to keep most of this fairly blocky. Just because our shape language so far, and the stuff that Goblin's been working on, we haven't been leaning a lot into arches for this city. So I don't want to all of a sudden just have a bunch of arches, because I think it'll be a little out of what we've been working on so far. But arches here and there are definitely good. Alright, so I can delete this temporary wall that I made. And let's give ourselves some space. And the ceiling is super low. Although we, again, have been noticing things that feel low now are probably not going to feel as low once we get our new character stuff in there. And hold on, I can't see this with the terrain. I'm sure I've got some fairly gross looking edge glow right here. Yeah, that was going to cause all kinds of issues. So I'll just delete that. And I'll model a floor for there in a bit. Out of time, back to work. Have fun. Oh, sorry to see that you had to leave. But have a good day at work. And I'll talk to you later. Okay, so we got this. And what I'm thinking is move this over like that. Push this back. Okay, that's not bad. And then we need to make this a room. Try to position this so I can see where I'm cutting, but also get the scale I want. So that is half. And then I need to move this over 3. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And it should be at the right size. I may have to adjust some of this once I put the floor in. Actually, what I might do is raise this up and then put the floor in, and then bring the outer edges down. But for now, excuse me. Let's see. I'm gonna give a little kind of nook over here for this. Not gonna be gigantic, but we'll pretend the walls are thicker than they actually are. And then this needs to be, whoops, helps if I grab all the ceiling. So it should be the same scale. And now let's set the pivot. I really should probably put the floor in. Let me set pivot. Let's just do the floor like this. So I will, oops, not bevel, bridge. 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 Ah. And we'll bridge this one as well. And now let's grab these exterior edges since I just raised all of this up. And I'll need to eventually move that down. It's pretty good. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. That did not look pretty good. Oops, and I missed. Hold it. Looks like I missed that. Whoa, what is that doing? Ooh, I forgot. Damn it. That's what happens when you don't check beforehand, so I'm going to have to reselect all those. I wish it would select the damn edge ring for me. But it's probably because there's no face on the bottom of it. It's probably just not able to select that. Okay. Oops. There we go. So now it's got a little step. Get a step out. Or do I want to... God, why is this snapping so weird? No, I think I have the grid snapping on that might... that was not what I wanted to do. Let's make that 7.5. 7.25. There we go. Cut this in half. Oops, that was wider than I wanted that. That looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got that, and now we need to just make some small adjustments. I'm gonna bring this wall. Oh no, that's fine. That's exactly where I wanted it. But I do want a door over here. Oops, I don't want that whole edge because I'm gonna mess my door up on the other side. So that is 1, 2, 3. That is not correct. That is. Do I want it centered? Do I want it over to the side? What did I do over here? I kind of liked whatever I had over here. Centered. And centered there. You like the side better? This one's centered. Side? Yeah, we'll leave it there for now. We'll see how that turns out. And now I need to give myself another edge. And this is probably not going to be aligned perfectly. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. So we got one. Yeah, okay, I was right. So let's delete this. Yeah, that is way off. Actually, let's shift this over. 1, 2, 3. That looks closer, if not dead on. Nope, I was off by 1. Bridge these. So that looks pretty good. Just a little bit of space to move around. I may make this nook a little wider, but we'll see. So we've got that, and then this area, I want to kind of balance it to some degree. So what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, or 7 3/4. That's a weird number. Let's. So my brain can process the scale better. Oops. There we go. So that needs to be 4. Oops, why is that missing? I do not remember deleting that edge, but whatever. Okay. Hey, Aaron Gun, how's it going? Okay, so we're going to grab the back 3, and we're going to move them out 7, I think. Is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's 8 now. 4, 6, 8. I'm doing well. Had a fairly productive weekend. I showed off some of the stuff earlier in the stream, but if you hang around towards the end of the stream, I'm going to show off all the stuff that I kind of did over the weekend as well. I'm going to clean these edge up now that I see it, because I know I'm going to throw an edge loop down and be like, why? When the edge loop does not do what I want it to do. So let's move these over. But currently, what I'm working on is a request that Ali had to kind of build an inn for him. So I'm on the other screen. I've got some images that I'm kind of working off of these caravanserai, which were kind of inns that were on the Silk Road. So there's certain things I like about all of these, but the main idea is it needs to be a larger inn than the inn that I have already worked on. It needs to be able to hold. It's going to be kind of like a communal area for people that are LFG to kind of hang out, and it also needs to have an innkeeper area. So here's my little innkeeper area, and then over here I'm going to be building in kind of like a kitchen, so where baking and stuff can be done. And then I think over here I'm going to do like a little storeroom or storerooms, and one of them is going to have a hole, not a hole, but like a cellar door that's going to lead down into a cellar. And I kind of like this idea where the cellar has, well, this isn't a cellar, this is actually another one of these caravanserai. I think this one is in Armenia. But I kind of like this as a cellar with these columns of light, these oculuses of light kind of coming down. So having some sort of like little grates or something you can kind of see through and kind of bring some light down into there. I think that could be kind of cool. And if not, I can always, if it doesn't look good, I can always just close off the holes eventually. But this whole ground is going to end up getting deleted at some point, which is actually one of the things that I did over the weekend. I like the water fountain. Is that it in for? Yeah, I really like the kind of. I noticed a lot of them have these, you know, octagonal fountains. But yeah, there's definitely going to be a fountain kind of in the center. I like this one where it has kind of little kind of stairs up and then the rooms with the 2 stories. I don't know if I'm going to have as many rooms as this one has. And I'm going to try to rely less, again, on arches as much as I can. But yeah, I kind of like that kind of look. Although I kind of like it more with the walkway up top as opposed to just kind of windows where I have to do all of the stairs and stuff internally. I kind of like the external stairs. So I might play around with something like that at some point. But what else did I like? Anything else that I really, really liked? Oh, this kind of exterior spot. Where it's hard to tell from this super pixelated image. I thought I had a better one. But these are like little seating areas. Now this one, if you look at the blueprints, that kind of area goes the entire way. I'm thinking about, you know, essentially this would be like where the kitchen is. You know, the cellar and stuff. Or the storage room might be kind of one of the, like, these diagonal style hallways into a room, like over here. And then over here might be like a little dining area for, you know, patrons. And then the rest might be individual rooms and then a way up to more individual rooms. I'm probably not going to have this kind of... I'm probably going to go more square or, you know, even rectangular, but all the rooms kind of come off that central courtyard. So, areas to hang out, you know... If you're working on your cooking, you can cook there and go from there. Yeah, Night Harbor is very dry, having a little bit of water. Yeah, we're definitely thinking about that type of stuff. I think we might play around with more like the higher tiers where the more like opulent and like rich areas. As you go up higher, it gets more and more ornate. Maybe doing more and more waterworks and more like greenery and stuff up there as kind of like a flex. But kind of work with this for now. Here's the question. Do I want to... No, it's probably actually going to be easier if I delete this. Can I control Z back? Or is it too far? Oh, shoot. I think I just read. Alright, I'm just going to delete it. And I think I'm just going to extrude this all the way. And then model off of it. Like extrude down. So I'll delete those faces. Oops, apparently I grabbed that piece of terrain. This will go all the way. And I'll eventually do that to the other side too. And then, again, these are just very placeholdery for kind of boxing it in. This may be a little wider too. Whoop! Helps if I'm in object mode. This may end up coming back further too. And again, the city's being completely redone in terms of where everything's going to be, so a lot of this will be changing eventually. So now I'm going to put the doorway right here, I think. I'll use this as part of it as well. Or maybe... darn it. Did I not extrude that face? Nope. That's what I get for not paying attention. Okay. Do it a meter off that wall. Okay, so now we need another edge. 1.5. There's 1, 2.5. Or no. Yeah, no, it's a half. Okay, we're good. Except I want this to be a step as well. Actually, no. Let's do it the same way. Like that. There we go. Push that in. Did I do a full? Yeah, I did a full meter. I'm making the walls a little thicker, or that they appear to be a little thicker than I have in some of the kind of sprawl-like buildings that I was playing around with before, so that this just feels like a more grand structure when the walls are a little bit thicker. Let's see. Yeah, Night Harbor is very... Oh, I already read that. We'll extrude that in, and we will extrude this up. What did I do over here? Did I do 5? I did 4.5. Let's keep it consistent. That's probably going to get pulled back once we scale the cubes. Or not the cubes, the capsule people. So I'm going to make this room a little probably larger than it's actually going to be. It's actually not too bad. And then I kind of want to... make it even. It's not necessarily even, but it's closer to even. I may adjust those walls later. I want to do a little like kind of like pantry closet thing over here. Although, do I have enough room to do the cellar? Oh, shoot, that was not what I wanted to do. I wanted to move this. I was like, why did that one wall shrink? And it's because I wasn't moving the whole object. I was moving the face. So how much room do I have to work with? I've got this, so I can do a little bit of a pantry thing, and then over here can be the cellar. So let's... how do I want to do this? I suppose I could just not model it in and do it as a separate wall, because it's not like it's going to be sharing an edge with anything. That'll probably be the smarter way to do this. Why is this not... is it creating them under... what the heck? No. What are you doing, Unity? Okay, so... let's get this scaled. So make this one. Whoops. No, this one. And we'll move it down. Oops. There we go. Is that too much room? Try it there. Oh. And for some reason the... oh, it's probably because I scaled it. Sometimes the selection on this is so annoying. There we go. And on the grid. There we go. Exactly what I wanted. Okay, so we will bring that to the ceiling. We will make this snapped to the grid. I guess I'll just do the whole thing. Grid. And then... oh, nice. That's actually the exact same size I want it. So... got lucky there with snapping, picking the head I wanted. Alright, so let me just straighten this stuff in case I just decide to throw edge loops. Okay. So let's... this is taking up 4, and I have... I'm going to give myself 1 extra. Quarter meter of space. There we go. Alright, so now I will set this right here, set that, duplicate it, and mirror it. Boom. Ah, slightly off. Oh well. I need to merge these now. And we will collapse these on themselves. So we're not getting the Z fighting anymore. Okay. So let's check out the scale on this, because it's been a bit since I have checked. Make sure I didn't stick my shaman into the walls while I was moving stuff around. Okay, we're good. I might move this wall back so there's just a little bit more space out in front. Yeah, I might do that. It actually feels more roomy inside the innkeeper's room than it does out here. So I think I'll move that back to give the patrons as they come in more room. This will eventually have probably arched this a bit. So it's going to have a gate essentially. I'll probably extrude these out a little bit as well. Little pantry area I think needs to be slightly wider. This is probably a little too narrow. Although again, some of the stuff is probably going to get adjusted once we get the player characters in soon, based off of some of the other stuff we've seen. Let's go back to Shaded Dunes. I'd like to, at least for this stream, get the next room blocked in. That should be good. And again, this is going to be a kitchen area, and I'm not going to do this today, but I've been looking at kind of some ancient ovens and stoves from various ancient civilizations. There's some Egyptian, there's some Mesopotamian, there's some from Pompeii. I kind of like this, actually. Like, Pompeii, they would make these big troughs. Like, you have a fire under here, but you have these big troughs, and they would just shovel, like, lit coals in there to, almost like a barbecue grill. I kind of like that look. Same over here. But probably do a couple different things like that at some point. But right now I'm just, again, roughing in general spaces. So we'll leave that. Now the question is, do I want the room to be through there, or do I want it to be, I think I want to go with one of these diagonal walls. For now, I'm going to make this go all the way up to this wall, but this will get shortened because this, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in depth. This will need to be 12 in depth. Actually, I don't want to just do that right now that I'm thinking about it. So, what is that? So that's 3. So we'll go 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3. 6. 9. 12. And I messed that up when I backed up, so right there. And then we'll bring this over to there. Shoot, did I do it again? I did it, damn it. I really need to just collapse those vertices down so I don't have to deal with them, but I wanted to keep them at least for now because I know I'm gonna do steps at some point for some of these rooms, or maybe not. We'll see. But now I can essentially be like, thickness for that. It's a really large structure, jeez. But it's working pretty well. Okay, so now excuse me. I need to remember to take my allergy meds. I forgot to the last 2 nights, and my allergies today have been awful. Oh, thank you. Oh, there might be more where that first one came from. Alright, so I'm going to save just in case, but I'm going to try to bevel this. And then we will take these edges and move them. Well, that's weird. Maybe we won't try it that way. How do I want to do this? 'Cause it started to stretch the automatic whatchamacallits, UVs, which I don't want it to do. Let's see. I may end up having to collapse these to the point so that it goes that way. You know what? Make my life easier. Let's delete some of these. Oh shit, I did it again. Oh my god. I'll fix that later. But I will delete this bottom one. Okay. So now oops. Oh, but I don't want ISO. I want it top down. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to try doing it that way. I will admit, Unity is a lot more difficult to Why is it doing that again? Alright, that one works. That one works. You know, it looks like it's going into the ground, that all this will be deleted in a bit. Or maybe not today, but soon. And we have this face. Ooh, this is gonna be... Shoot. I need to learn the... I think they have slide along edge hotkeys, but I don't know them for Pro Builder. I'm gonna need those because when I put a edge loop down this, without that, I'm not gonna be able to like snap this nice and neatly to it. I mean, I could add a ton. I can't even do that. Let's see. Oops. UVs. And just group those. Okay, that's larger than I expected it to be. So that's at the half. Yeah, I'm gonna have to play around with that. I'm gonna have to find the stuff in the documentation. I'm not gonna do that on stream. So, oh shoot, that's not even gonna work where it's at anyways. All that, and then I didn't check on the other side of the wall. Okay, so we'll just do it this way. Let me bring that back. And do I want... I think I'll just do it as a doorway off of this. Okay, so I can take this all the way over here. Like so. And then I'm going to duplicate this. I only want the one door. Did I get the other one? Okay, we're good. There's nothing underneath this, is there? Okay, we're good. And we will... And we'll grab these ones too. Delete those. And then... Oops. Oh, shoot. Remember how I said... I'm really good at thinking I duplicate stuff and I don't. There is a, there's proof. So you walk in, it's straight off of there. You know what? I don't like that. I take that idea back. is what I had that at. Okay, so I'm gonna just build a little tunnel from right here over there, because I'm not... I like that little, like, pantry area, and I don't want to lose it. And that is not on my grid. Oops. Actually, let's move this back. It is 1.5. I might want to keep this a little shorter. Make it feel a little cramped towards the cellar. Oops. Still have the ceiling selected. It's 1.5. There we go. Oh, shoot. I'm getting really good at not grabbing all my edges tonight. There we go. I don't know. I do like that original one. Alright, what is going on over here? I need to clean this up, because we're about to run into some issues. Delete. I don't know what I did over there. Delete that. Okay, so take this all the way, or actually shoot. Damn it. That time I selected one too many. So we just want this one to go in like that, and I'm going to come back and clean these up again. I'm slightly worried. Did I? Just want to make sure there's not an extra vertice sitting on top of them. But it looks good. I'm not sure where that extra edge came from. And that is 1 foot, or 1 meter. edge. Oops. Get into an area where I can see the floor. There we go. So that's 2.5. And I'll make this 2.5 as well. Oh no, it already is 2.5. We're good. Alright. So we will extrude this down, and then we run into the issues that I was expecting, where there's the terrain. But again, for anybody who's hopped in since the beginning, I've made it now so that the terrain is been rebuilt using Sean's initial geometry as a guide, since I liked it and I think it worked really well. But now it's all cleaned up, so I can actually use Pro Builder, and I can make edits like that in Engine, and Unity is doing that weird thing that it likes to do where my frame rate dies after a couple hours. Alright, well, it's getting close to the end of the stream anyways. So, let me delete that. And now I have the ability to, and I control Z, so these all came back, create a way to a cellar now. I wanted that square. I may have to make this bigger or larger. Or maybe I just won't. Maybe I won't care as much about it being square. I don't actually mind it being not squared, but that would be it squared. Collapse that. Oops, went one snap too far. There we go. So now I've got an area that I can start to build a, oops, maybe I want to, do something more like this. But I will play more around with this later in terms of what's going to be down here. But this is eventually going to be a cellar, and I think the plan is to kind of have it as like a introduction, maybe not like a direct like tutorial introduction, but like a learn how to fight type of a scenario. So kind of like a new little newbie hill, but you know, newbie cellar. I'll just raise this up. I may have to play with these proportions. I think mine will end up hitting our heads. So this may be better off like here or something like that. I'll play around with it. I mean, it could also be a ladder going down. But essentially, I'm thinking this will kind of go around underneath the courtyard and have some like grates and stuff that kind of spill light down into it. So in a couple spots, maybe not the entire thing, but we'll see. That's pretty much what I'm gonna end up doing for stream today, but I promised you guys to show you some of the new stuff. So again, I took Sean's original terrain and projected a new plane on top of it, and then there were a couple areas really like the dunes and kind of along here where the vertices weren't lined up perfectly and it just did not look good. So I went back through this weekend and snapped all of the vertices to the other vertices to make it look better. Nick had requested new pyramids. These weren't concepted by Goblin or anything like that, so when we get to developing these, or this particular extinct civilization, this could easily change. So these are very placeholdery, but they shouldn't. And I also deleted chunks underneath this, so we shouldn't have the bug we were having where things were pathing underneath it. So that should be taken care of, and the pyramids are actually able to be walked up now. You can walk up and like jump onto this, or obviously walk up the stairs. I also made brand new cliffs, so they're tied more to our terrain here. These ones right here and here are not. I may end up redoing them at some point to make them fit the style more. But for now, it's the same terrain, and you know the tunnel and stuff is still all here, so that is all the same. But this is new. This is new. Taking the texture into account a little bit more, so a little more not necessarily sculptural, but it just kind of follows the form that's in the texture a bit better. And then this will eventually, you know, this kind of rocky outcropping that Fallen Watch is on will eventually be redone as well once Fallen Watch is kind of concepted out. And then we've got the dragon area that will be done as well. And then also I played with Deep Dunes. Let's save. So Deep Dunes, where am I? Now has some glowy mushrooms to kind of illuminate down here a bit more and give the player kind of, you know, markers, because it was really hard to navigate down here before without there being markers. But I'm gonna have to go through and do a pass on the lighting. It might be difficult for you guys to see, but there's like these pixels kind of off in the distance that are starting to show up, and it's just because we have we had a bunch of these lights, if I can select them. These blue lights, which you can see are gigantic, so they overlap a lot of stuff, and when you overlap too many lights in real time, that's what ends up happening with Unity anyways. So I'm gonna have to go through and clean these up, because each of these also has a light in them. Come on, let me select the mushroom. So these all have their own little point lights, but you can see these are much smaller in terms of the area they affect. I like the color, the way it's working. I didn't like color match the initial blue, which is a lot cool, like a more cool blue in terms of temperature, where this is a little bit of a brighter and kind of warmer sky blue. So I kind of like how they kind of play off of each other. I just need to kind of clean that up. But that, and I want to get in I want to edit this shape a little bit, get some more versions of it, and then I want to get kind of like oyster mushrooms that can kind of like cling onto the walls, and then some little smaller, more rounded capped ones that I can sprinkle around that maybe will be more like clusters. Granted, I did a little kind of like clustering over here too, but I don't recall seeing this zone before. It's been in for probably 3 or 4 weeks. Sean, if you've been watching Sean's streams, Sean has popped down here a couple times. I don't know if I've been in here on a stream before. But it was really hard to kind of get around, just because it was just these blue lights. So it was, and you know, a lot of just rocky canyons. So, it's now a lot easier to traverse because you can kind of see, you know, I kind of strategically placed them to kind of show the different paths to the different, you know, the different areas. So you can kind of be like, oh, maybe if I follow this way, you know, I'm not running into the dark as much. And then I think some of the smaller like rounded cap ones, I might do it as green. Right now, you know, they're all that blue, but I might play around with some other colors as well. The material itself needs a little bit of work. It's kind of jagged a little bit. I'm not super happy with it, and I'm not exactly sure I'm a big fan of these shapes. It almost kind of from certain angles looks like like a UFO, like trying to abduct a cow or something like that. So I might play around with the texture a little bit, but it's working pretty well. But I think I'll be playing with like maybe some greens to play off that other green, and maybe like a light purple or something like that. And then it'll be pretty cool watching that with the Zukin's deep beetles walking around. So that is what I got done over the weekend. The terrain probably took the most time out of everything, but yeah. So that's really what I was planning on doing for the stream. Again, you know, I need to finish kind of roughing out the inn for Elise, so that'll probably be what I'm working on mostly. Oops, that went right into the building. I'll probably, you know, not finish, but I'll continue like roughing this out on Wednesday. For anybody who's new, my streams are on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then Wednesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, nice. That will be nice. The deep beetles in there. Yeah. I think it's gonna be fun once we get the deep beetles in there and see how it comes alive. I think there was an issue with our nav mesh down there that we're trying to figure out, so that the deep beetles will work. But thanks for catching us up. Looks great. Thanks, BDC Retro. I almost like tripped over my own tongue again. But for anybody who's new, the game we are making is Monsters and Memories. It is a classic first generation MMO inspired game. EverQuest is a huge influence for us. We're working on our proof of concept currently. So this is our initial city zone. So you can almost think Quanos in terms of EverQuest. We're kind of building out from here. We've got a bunch of different zones. We want to do a lot of kind of underworld type stuff. So that zone I was just in, Deep Dunes, is kind of our proofing out area for that. We've got a kind of island, Oceans of Tears style zone going. We've got some dungeon zones going. We've got a larger desert, kind of almost Karana style or size zone, kind of tucked up back there. So we're kind of building that stuff out. If you're interested also in joining our Discord, that is the link to it. All of the members of the team are in there. We have tons of different, conversations about game design, about our games, just kind of fun stuff. So yeah, feel free to join our community. This is our mailing list. If you want to get updates when we put out updates about the game, please sign up for that. We are, I think, 1,050-ish people on it right now, so it's decent size and growing. We finished our 1,000 person goal for the year, or the beginning of the year. Nice progress. Stuff is looking good. Thanks, Nick. And yeah, also testing. Our goal for the year, we really want to get members of the community in here for testing. So, and to kind of play with us and stress test stuff a little bit more than we can. So that's our goal for the year. These are the other members of the team that are currently streaming. So Sean's is the A Loving Robot. You can tell I'm barely slept last night. I'm starting to get tired. But he does a lot of development streams and testing, and then he does his EverQuest developer interviews as well. Zukin does our critters and our characters to some degree here and there. Goblin does concept art. He also does some texture and stuff like that as well. Also a model that we should be getting in soon. Nick, who was just talking, does QA and testing and some design streams. And Ali hasn't been streaming on Twitch yet, but he has been adding stuff to our YouTube account. And he was doing a game jam series on how to make a game in 6 hours. So if you haven't already, please join our YouTube channel. All of the VODs from the team, so if you miss anybody's VODs, we post them up there. This one will be up there probably tonight, if not tomorrow, depending how long it takes to process. But yeah, please, and if you are watching this on YouTube, please remember to like and subscribe and comment below and all that, YouTube stuff to help us out with the algorithm. We all really appreciate it. But that's really it for today. So, thank you guys for hanging out in the stream. And I will catch you guys on Wednesday. Later.